on Patras, it would seem at this point impossible to deny him a start in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks that way.
All right, guys. Crisis averted. Back it up. Let's go.
Yeah,
No doubt in my mind.
I
I
would have killed him.
I swear to I would have killed him. Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team. That is a dub. Finally, I was getting really sick of pretending that I didn't mind the not dubs. I like dubs. Those are the ones I like. Pretty sure you agree with that. Do you just want to have a 15-minute conversation about Patra and Lorai and Beecher? Is that what you want to do? Because that's kind of what I want to do, but that's not what we're going to do. Like, comment, subscribe, nailed it. We played a Rangers team that was almost full strength, much like we were almost full strength. That wasn't their whole team. It wasn't our whole team, but this is the way it lined up. They went with Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko, Panarin, Goudreau, Lafreniere, Kuhl, Trocheck, Wheeler, VC, Bonino, Othman, Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Trouba, Gustafsson, Jones. I thought Gustafsson was really good in this game too. Igor Shesterkin is their starting goalie. For us, it was Boquist, Zacha, Pasternak as a top line. Obviously, that's not going to be the top line. Marsh and Coyle, DeBrusk, Frederick, Patra, Geeky, Greer, Beecher, Brown, Grismack, Lorai, Carlo, Forbort, Mitchell, Swayman, and Net. The lineup, when I saw it, I was a little worried for a couple things. Brown being on the roster tonight makes no sense. I don't know why he's still part of camp. Send him down. He should not be on this roster game one. Patra being on the third line center rather than the second line center, I was hoping to see another game where he was surrounded by real skill. Not to say that Frederick and Geeky aren't skillful, but just that higher level of skill. But he still passed this test with flying colors. he still elevated his game and the game of those around him. It's hard to put together thoughts about this kid right now. He's 19. He's 170-something pounds. He shouldn't be this good right now, and yet he is. He's a point per game through the preseason. He's impactful on almost every shift. He's going to have growing pains. He's going to have to deal with bigger, faster, stronger bodies going full speed at the NHL level because he is playing game one. We hope. Let's have this conversation right now because going through the game is going to be real quick. It was a very low event game. Patra has earned a spot on the opening night roster. 2C versus 3C we'll talk about, but he's earned it. Beecher has earned it. Lorai, I'm a little more on because there are things that worry me about him keeping up and defending properly at an NHL level, but I think he's also earned it. I'm leaning towards that side. He's the one where if they're like, we're going to hold off for just a little bit, send him back to the AHL for a month or so, I get that. I'd be fine with that. But Patra and Beecher have 100% earned it. If we do not see them in the roster game one, the fan base is going to lose it. We've talked about a youth movement for years now. This is the first time we're actually going to see it. If the team opts not to do it for whatever reason, it's going to send a terrible message to our prospects. Signing so many of these short 1-year, 2-year deals, bringing in a bunch of free agents. The chemistry is going to be tough to develop over the next month and a half. You have to allow the young guys to slot in. There's been a recent debate on the Discord, link below, about what kind of messages are being sent with Lucic stuff. There is a real message being sent if a guy who has earned the role is not being played. And in my eyes, and in the eyes of virtually everyone else I've spoken to, including people who are semi-close to the team, Patra and Beecher have earned it. Flat out. hopefully the team responds in kind. Because I just don't want the message to be, we're going to go with the vets. I believe they will make the right decision, but let's talk about this game a little bit. And this is going to be real fast because there's only a couple of lines per period in this. The first period starts, puck drops. It drops. And the first note that I have is no way Forbort starts in Boston. He just looked bad right away. And it's the second game. I'm allowed to this time. Second game that he played, he looks so bad. And I noticed some people are talking about how he has a contract which would keep him in the NHL, the $3 million contract. You're spending all that money, you got to play him. Actually, it works quite the opposite for us. We need more cap space. Sending down a guy like Greer saves roughly about $800,000 in cap space. Sending down Forbort, 1.1-ish million is saved. It's only a difference of like $300K. That difference matters right now. It actually makes more sense to waste 1.9 million by having Forbort play down there because we still save more having him be the guy that gets sent down to Providence. He'll clear waivers. No one's going to pick him up. If they did, they'd be doing us a huge favor. Huge favor. Anyway, puck drops. 10:15 in. We're already more than halfway through the period before anything really happens. And it's a goal. It's a transition by the Rangers where we have men back. In the puck, it's a nice little play to Kakko, who's on above the left circle. He's skating in towards the slot at the high slot. And Mitchell, who isn't a great defender, is in front of him, takes a swipe at him, doesn't bother Kakko, who just snipes this top glove using Mitchell as the screen. Swayman, from distance, probably wants it back, but that's a hell of a shot, and he doesn't get to see the shot release because he can't see through Mitchell. I don't really blame anyone too much for that one. You'd love to see Mitchell attack that play a little more, but you also don't want to see him step up and just get absolutely dog-walked by a faster player, and then it's a breakaway. I think that one is just, you live with those. 1-0, they take the lead midway through the first. 3:55 left, Greer is going to go for interference, penalty kill time. At the end of the first period, the only thought I could have is, Greer, you have not done enough. You've taken bad penalties. You haven't been impactful in any way, shape, or form. And through the next 40 minutes, he would actually do pretty well. He would have some really strong shifts. I just think he dug himself too deep of a hole to really be considered for that opening night roster. We'll see what happens there. Second period starts. 3:52 in. Marchand draws a holding call. Going to the power play. Not even close. Power play looked terrible. At this point in the game, about 5 minutes into the second, we have 3 shots on net. We're going to talk about that. But that's really bad. I was one of the people saying, guys, calm down. It's a preseason. The shots, whatever. Who cares? We'll get there. We'll get there. 9:15 left. Trouba is going to go for tripping on a terrible call, I thought, because it looked like he got the puck away, but then followed through and tripped. I don't know. I didn't like the call, but we're going to make it count. Marchand is quarterbacking it. He's going to move from the top of the slot. He's going to move down to his circle, back to the top of the slot, down to his circle, and poor McAvoy's just behind him, rotating back and forth. The puck's getting moved here or there, but as he gets back into that right circle, he's going to flick the puck right into the slot. Zacha's going to get a tip. It bounces into Shesterkin. Rebound. Pasta one touches that to Coyle for the tap, and it's 1-1 power play goal. Good puck movement, and if there's one thing I have noticed through the preseason, and maybe this is partly because the penalty kill might not be up to snuff for some of these teams, but there's way more movement, which God knows we needed. So it's nice to see. It's 1-1. 4:22 left of the period. Coyle and VC are going to drop the mitts? I mean, Coyle gets hit by a not great hit by VC. He pops up, cross-strikes VC. Then they shed him. They basically just have Coyle knock him down. Like, that's pretty much all that happened. But at the end of all this, Coyle gets 2 roughing calls and a cross-checking call. VC gets just a 2-minute roughing, so some of those offset. But we got a double minor to kill. And guess what? We kill it, because the penalty kill is still pretty decent. It's still good. Forbort, chasing the play like crazy, doesn't look good on the penalty kill. I'm going to keep picking on him. I shouldn't keep picking on him. He doesn't... I don't know what he brings to this team, guys. I think that's over. I think the last year of the contract is bad. And that's the way it's going to be. Third period starts. It is 1-1. Who's going to step up for your boys? And I have been all over Trent Frederick for coasting through this preseason. And what does he do? He makes a play. It's a breakout started by Geeky. He tosses it down the right wall. Frederick gets to the puck second. Looks like the defender gets there first. Stick lift, though, chases it, wins a board battle, keeps it moving, gets below the net, bumps the puck up to Geeky, who curved back around to offer support. Geeky's going to send it right back to him. And between all of this battle, Patra is just going to skate right in front of Shesterkin. And he's just going to sit there. Vibing. Freddie's going to win the battle from behind the net, feed Patra, and Patra's going to bury this. Posting in, top blocker. It's 2-1. Patra has 5 points in 5 games. Is he the beneficiary from his line mates doing all of the work on that play? Absolutely. Did he go where he was supposed to and had a great finish on the goal? Absolutely. And also, he looked really good throughout the whole game. So what are we really talking about here? But it's a 2-1 game. The game-winning goal, because the game would end 3-1, goes to Patra. It's just more reason. Just more reason. Include him in the roster, please, for the love of God. 5:33 in, hooking on Lindgren. We're gonna go to the power play. No dice on that. 5:40 left. Coyle's gonna go for cross-checking again. Penalty kill. It's a really strong kill, and as soon as we kill it with about 3 minutes left, Zaka is going to go for boarding, and it's a really strong kill. And Greer, after a couple good shifts, honestly, is rewarded with the empty net, and it's 3-1. That's the whole game. You did not miss much, honestly, by not watching this one. This is a rare case of a game where you can watch the highlights, and you're just fine with that. It was a really boring game through 40 minutes. I hate saying that about hockey games. This was a really boring game. But here's the good news. Trent Frederick is alive. He had a really, really solid third period. He looked really engaged. If we could get that from him more often, then yes, have him on that third line. Have him be an impactful player. Because before this game, and I shouldn't overreact to one game, but before this game, I had him listed as the 13th forward. I was creating my lineups, and I was like, how do I include Frederick after the porous showing that we've seen from him over the past couple of weeks where he's barely even involved? Well, he reminded me why you would include him. Because he's physical, capable of winning those puck battles, and can get the puck where it needs to go. He just needs to have a little more motivation throughout. Game notes. It's preseason, so I'm trying not to overreact. Over the last 3 games, the Bruins have averaged about 6 shots per period, which is terrible. Shot creation and goal scoring were already going to be a concern without our top 2 centers. It looks like more of a concern right now, but again, it is preseason. So I don't want to overly harp on that because we legitimately could start the season and there's just a higher pace of play, and that's not a problem at all. But it's definitely something to be a little concerned about. Just a little bit. The defense and the play of the wings is what's going to carry us this year. And the goaltending, of course. Those have to be elite for us to be a contending team. What would take away from something like that is if you were playing a forward. Defensively, he's been terrible. If you were playing Brown, because he would be on the wing for sure at this point, and he looks really bad. Lucic. I don't want to harp on Lucic because we know he's probably starting game 1. We have seen him look more effective than expected in the preseason, but I'm still really worried about him in open ice, basically. If it's not a board battle, I don't have a lot of confidence in his ability to keep up with the play. We're going to find out real quick with Lucic if this was a good idea or not. And again, super hoping that I'm very wrong about this and that he's a very impactful bottom 6 guy for us because it would be huge for this team. My prediction for the game 1 lines are as follows. JVR, Zaka, Pasternak is our top line. That has been in stone for quite some time. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Marchand, Coyle, DeBrusque is going to be our second. I think they really want to see how that line works, and they don't want to move Coyle over to the wing for no reason. I think they'd like to have him as a 3C, but how much confidence can you truly have in a 19-year-old taking over a top 6 role? I mean, it's just, I won't say unprecedented, like we've never seen it, but it's rare. It's really rare. Third line, Frederick, Patra, Geeky. Patra, you cannot move to the wing. You can't do it. Not yet, at least. You really can't, because you want him to develop as a center. Because if there's a chance this guy can be a top 6 center, you have to take it. This team is so desperately in need. And if we fill that role the season after Bergeron's gone, I said it in the last video, just imagine the way the hockey fans would react if Patra stepped into this role this year and had 40 to 50 points bouncing between 2C and 3C. And looks like within the next year or two, he'll be a true top 6 center. They've been losing their minds. They're so upset. The Bruins finally are going to struggle again, truly struggle. If this guy's already an answer to our biggest question, what a brilliant, brilliant draft pick. What a brilliant pick for Sweeney. God, I hope it's true. Fourth line, Lucic, because we know he's going to be there. Beecher, Lauko. This does leave Boquist out, which is a bummer. It leaves Greer out, but I think that's kind of where we need to be. It leaves, I'm missing one other. Heinen. This is another thing to talk about. There's a real chance the idea from management is to play Patra for 9 games and then sign Heinen and send Patra back down unless Patra forces them to keep him. There's still one major hurdle left for him. Play in the NHL at full speed. And guess what? We have a West Coast swing our first fucking week. We are going to find out real quick if he can handle that. But against competition that is not very good if you go look at our first month. Our first month is 9 games. We play the Ducks twice. We play the Blackhawks twice. We play the Panthers and the Kings, which are the only 2 we really believe they're playoff teams that we play. And I believe we play the Predators. That math doesn't completely... Oh, and the Sharks are in there somewhere. So that's not the hardest schedule in the world to start. It would be a nice way to ease Patra in, is all I'm saying. Defensively, Grizz, McAvoy as your top pair, Lindholm, Carlo as your second pair. I see no reason for them to split those up. Lohrei, Shattenkirk as your third. There are concerns no matter how you put together your third pair here. Forbort has a ton of concerns. Zaboral has consistency concerns. Shattenkirk, I really don't know what we're getting from him right now. I really don't. I didn't love his preseason, but I still trust him more than basically anyone else on that right side. Mitchell, too bad defensively. He struggles too much there. You can't... He's going to be your 7th D. And then I just think Lohrei is a really good option to get 12 to 14 minutes a night. I don't think it's going to stunt his growth. I think against NHL competition is the best way to play it. He's going to play against NHL competition during practices, and he'll bounce up and down that lineup. Our defensive pairings change quite often. I'm not worried about it at all. Obviously, Ullmark and net, Swayman right behind him. Put your expected lineups in the comments below. Let's see it. And that's all I've got. This was super simple. Honestly, I'm exhausted. This has been a really long day, so this video is very calm and chill and no skit, like just basic. But I appreciate you guys sticking around. It's time to get into it. I'm so pumped. We've just got a couple more days, and then it is hockey for real. Can you feel it? The anticipation? Go Bees! Go Bees!